Hey, it's Ev. This is a quick sort of update on my situation with my testosterone levels and with the gender clinic, and a bit of a rant about the gender clinic really. Also, I'm in my new flat and it has really good lighting and a place that I can set my phone up right opposite the window, so it's perfect, and hopefully that will encourage me to make more videos. I do have some ideas and things I've said I would make for ages and haven't got around to yet, so hopefully soon. Anyway, yeah, I've said about my testosterone levels being high before. They were high when I switched to injections and I switched back to gel. Now they have been high again, but now I'm with the NHS, not a private gender clinic, so when I was looking to get my levels changed and stuff, they've taken way longer and basically just not responded. I've been left in the dark for ages, to the point where, spoiler alert, I had to change my own dose because I just couldn't get any professional advice about it, which ended up being quite simple, but I'll get into that. I had a blood test which I'm pretty sure was at the end of May. It may have been really early June, but I think it was the end of May, and then in early June I got the results for it, and I asked my GP to send them off to the gender clinic, which my GP said that she did, but once it got to sort of the end of June, I got a bit worried that she actually hadn't, or they hadn't received them. So I messaged the gender clinic saying, my testosterone levels are too high. Can a doctor get back to me about that? Because my GP isn't going to change my dose, because obviously the gender clinic instructs the GP what to do. They don't decide that themselves. So they basically need to get back to my GP and tell her what dose I should be on. I made it really simple, and I emailed and I was like, look, my testosterone levels are a bit too high. They are over 30. Which isn't extremely high compared to what they have been before, but it is above the range they want to keep them in. I messaged and said that, and I said, I'm on 2 pumps of testosterone, Testogel a day, so I think that I should be moved down to 1 pump a day, but I feel like I should get some professional advice on this before I just decide to do it for myself, so could a doctor get back to me about that, please? And then over the next few months, we've sort of been exchanging emails with the admin team. When the gender clinic replies to your email, that's not the actual doctor, that's just the admin team who don't have any say in your levels. So they've been responding to me back and forth over the past few months. They actually don't take extremely long to reply, which I think in the past they probably would have done, so now that's looking a bit better. I've heard other people say they can't get a reply, but that's been okay for me. They confirmed that they had received my levels and that a doctor will get back to me about it. I then emailed again in early August, and on the 5th they told me again, okay, we'll chase that up for you. Sorry, you haven't heard back from a doctor yet. On the 10th of August they then emailed me saying, can you confirm who your GP is? And I was like, oh, it's this one, it's obviously the one that sent you my blood test results. Because I said, have you received the blood test results from my GP? And you said yes, so obviously the one that sent you them, that's my GP. So reply to them, please, thanks. I obviously wasn't sarcastic in the actual email though, I was, polite. On the 11th of August I was then told that I would get a response ASAP, and that, a doctor would respond to my GP and tell them what to put my dose as. I spoke to my GP in this time as well, and basically she was surprised that I still hadn't had a response from them. I emailed again, and on the 27th of August, bearing in mind my blood test was at the end of May, they told me at the end of August, yep, a letter has now been written saying what your dose should be changed to, but it can't be sent off until Dr. Sahota, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's the last doctor I saw. The letter can't be sent to my GP until she has gone over it and, approved it. So that was the 27th of August. Then on the 9th of September, I finally got an email with a copy of the letter they sent to my GP, which I assume the email got to me faster than the letter did, but they can't control that, whatever.
Hello, it's very blurry, but we don't care. Brief intermission. 2 quick things. First of all, I filmed this fucking weeks ago, and didn't edit it for ages because every time I got ill again. Pretty much everyone I know has been getting ill over and over again, but not with COVID, and yeah. My throat hasn't felt okay in like a month, but I don't feel like I'm dying anymore, so that's good. But hopefully now I will film more videos. Probably I might try and film like some shorter ones that will be easier to manage. Anyway, the main thing I interrupted myself to talk about is... wait. Okay, on the 23rd of September, my GP actually got back to me, as in the letter that was sent about my dose being changed eventually got to the GP, and then obviously they're immediately going to ring me, so I don't know how long that took, but it was on the 23rd, but my GP finally contacted me and said that my dose needed to be changed, so that's how long it took from, I think, the end of May being the blood test. It took till the end of, well, nearing the end of September for my dose to be officially changed, which is a bit shit, and probably should be a lot quicker than that. The bonus third thing is that I've been waiting for months, I think like 4 or 5 months for a gyno appointment, and I finally got one, and then they sent me a letter saying it's been cancelled, so that's also great. Goodbye, back to me.
Yeah, saying, yep, your blood test results were a bit high, you should be changed from 2 pumps to 1 pump a day, which is what I said, but I can't remember exactly at what point, but at some point in all of this, I just changed my own dose to 1 pump a day. I told my GP I did that, and she said obviously she's not in charge of my dose, but she's not going to do anything about it if I do that. It doesn't seem dangerous, which obviously it wasn't, because that did turn out to be what my dose should be. So I did that without telling the gender clinic. Probably in like July or August, I told the gender clinic I've changed my own dose because I'm not getting any professional advice of what my dose should be, but I know that 2 pumps is obviously not the right dose, so I'm changing my own dose, which I thought they might be mad about because, you know, you're not really meant to change your own dose of medication, but no, they didn't seem to really care, the admin team, and then the letter from Dr. Sahota just acted like she either wasn't aware of that or just didn't care, like it just ignored the fact that I'd already changed my own dose and let them know that I'd done that. So yeah, that was from the end of May to 9th of September for them to reply about changing my dose when my testosterone levels were too high. And the reason they're meant to stay within the right range is because it's not healthy for you for them to be out of that range. Or, you know, if they're too low, it wouldn't work. If they're too high, it can convert back into estrogen. It also can, I think, be bad for like your liver and stuff. I'm not an expert on that, but I know it's not good for you to have testosterone levels that are above the range they want to keep them in. She also said, I can't check right now because I'm recording on my phone, but in the email it did say that the range they want to keep them in is, I think it was like between 15 and either 20 or 25, but it was definitely, you know, well below 30, and mine was over 30. I'll put on the screen what it's meant to be and what it actually was. You know, which that isn't like a immediate life or death emergency. I'm not saying it's a really extreme issue, but it's something that I feel like a doctor should respond to you about in, you know, less than 3 months. But they didn't. This is by no means like the worst situation you can be in with a gender clinic. I know a lot of people have a much worse experience where they are just like randomly taken off the list, or they just suddenly can't get hold of their testosterone, their surgery referral, they say they've sent it off, and then a year later they found out it was never sent off. You know, a lot of much worse stuff than this happens, but I'm just telling you my experience, obviously. That's why we need more gender clinics, really, because there's so many patients and not enough staff and facilities and stuff, and funding, that when a patient who is on testosterone has testosterone levels that are too high, if it takes you over 3 months to lower their dose, then like clearly you have way too many patients in over your head. So there just needs to be more gender clinics and more services, facilities and staff, everything. More funding, basically. I feel like TERFs and other transphobes will probably see this and say, oh yeah, that's why you shouldn't even be in testosterone in the first place, because, you know, your levels aren't in the right range, it's unhealthy, you're not being looked after. But then they also want there to be less gender clinics and, like, cut the funding and stuff, which would just make it so much worse. If trans people just got the care that they needed, then that would solve this. Like, trans people not having access to that care would not solve this, because people would just end up getting testosterone illegally, which would be much worse. So yeah, that's not really logical. I will link something below if I can find anything about the effects of having testosterone that's too high, because I know it's bad for you, but I haven't like memorized all the different things that happen, and I have like a good idea, but I don't want to say anything that might not be exactly right. I may also make a playlist of all my videos about my levels being too high, because that's happened like a few times, I think 3 times, but then once was like for a very long period of time and they're extremely high, so quite a few videos I've mentioned that, just so other people can see that if they're having like the same experience. But yeah, now I'm on 1 pump a day and I haven't had a blood test yet. I'm due one soon to make sure, because even though I changed my dose to 1 pump a day, in the NHS's eyes, I only did that when they told me to, even though I told them I'd already done it. So yeah, soon I'll have a blood test now that they think I just changed to 1 pump a day, and yeah, I'll keep you updated on that. I feel fine, I feel like my levels are fine. I don't think that they're low. I can tell, I think I can tell more when my levels are getting too low than when they're too high, because when they're too high, often I just feel fine and I wouldn't notice. But if they were too low, things like periods and cramps and stuff, and like moods being all over the place, I get a lot of that. I don't really get like the opposite, where some people, when their T levels are high, they get like angry and frustrated. I don't really experience that. I do get like the hot flashes, but that's when my T levels are average and when they're high, so. I might also do another room tour now I have an actual nice flat, because my last one was when I was in a very like basic student accommodation. Also, I still need to do a full review of the Peacock Gen 4, which I said I would do, and then kind of didn't get much feedback of people asking for that, but now like 1 or 2 people have said they actually want to see it, so I will review that, because I still use that quite a lot, and it's pretty good, to be honest. There are some issues, but yeah, I'll talk about that in that video. Leave any requests you want, comment anything, any questions, you can DM me, as long as you're not being mean to me, because I'll cry. So yeah, bye.